Hey yo, what is good, homies? Welcome to Entruvia Sessions. This is episode 2. It's been a little while since I did episode 1. Got sick, had some family over, became an uncle, so life is happening. Life is definitely happening. And I'm grateful to be here doing another episode. So thank you for joining me today for this episode. I hope that you are all doing so well. I hope that life is treating you good. I hope that you're feeling nourished. I hope that you're making art. I hope you're making art and just having fun, because that's what this is all about. With this episode, I have a concept in mind that I've been sitting on for a couple weeks now, it feels like. So I'm really happy to dive into this one. I enjoyed the movie Fantastic Four: First Steps, and there's the shot where they first meet Galactus, and he's just this towering presence. The sense of scale, I didn't see it in IMAX, but I can only imagine what that looked like in IMAX. So with the piece today, I want to play around with a sense of scale, a sense of cosmic scale. So I'm going to make something rather inspired by that, but different and my own kind of thing. But with this episode, I'm going to hop into Affinity, which I am an absolute noob at and figuring out how to use. So apologies for being an absolute noob at it, but that's how we learn, you know? So yeah, I'll start this episode with going into Affinity, and then we'll go into Blender and yeah, make the piece happen. So I'll see you all in just a second over in Affinity. Alright, so here we are in Affinity. I am going to be working in the IMAX format just because the shot that this is inspired by was an IMAX shot. So it feels like it'd be a cool format to play around with for this one. We're going to have in this bottom corner here some sort of character, some sort of, our main human kind of character. And then up in this corner here, we're going to have a celestial kind of being. In my mind, he's holding like a planet. He or she, maybe we'll go with the she, I don't know. But, so this celestial entity is going to be holding some sort of object. For now, in my mind, it's a planet. And the idea is to create a sense of scale by mainly having the character down below being tiny. So I love the idea of him being on some sort of platform. In my mind, it's like an asteroid. I also have like some spaceship models that I've made. So I love the idea of there being maybe like a spacecraft. And then you have this character being like super tiny. And so in having our character in the foreground so much and really wanting to emphasize scale, I'm going to have to create a lot of separation between this character and our celestial being in the background. So my main thought for the midground is going to be an asteroid field and like space clouds, just to create some atmosphere within the scene as a whole, and then also just to create some visual depth. So I'll even just draw in some like asteroid rocks. We'll do a lot of these. And I do like the idea, like right now with how these are drawn, it's just a straight line, right? So I like the idea of there being some kind of curve to it. So this guy is going to be pretty big. Now, to keep with the rule of thirds, I have to decide where I want to place the celestial entity. So maybe let's see where I want the object. For now, we'll just go with a planet that he'll be holding. So finding the space for that, I think having... Also, I'm not like a well-trained hand-drawn artist, so I hope you don't mind some jank in my sketches. So let's have his head be massive. Let's just play around. This is all about experimentation. I'll just do a stick body for now. And so now, even just seeing what we have here, it's like, that scale is pretty big. And what I haven't decided yet is if I want this dude looking at homeboy over there, or if he's just so grand and cosmic that he doesn't even know that our character exists. He's just looking at the planet that he's making. You know, he's just a happy boy creating life, creating a planet. That's kind of the base kind of blocking out that I have in mind. Obviously there's gonna be like stars and all that everywhere. And we'll have like some space nebulas. And to play more on scale, yeah, we can have some more, maybe we'll have like a planet here or there. Again, trying to find ways, since I'm using the rule of third grid, it's like, how can I utilize it to further tell this story? But so we'll have things in the midground, like just some clouds, just to create that separation. So this will be fun. Let's head over to Blender and dive in. Here we are in Blender. It's time to dive in and get cosmic. So to start, I just want to do some basic blocking out. So we're just going to start with something pretty simple. We're just going to grab something that will be the platform in which our character, our foreground character, our guy in his spaceship, where those two elements will sit within the piece. So I'm just going to use this sphere for now. Just going to give it a basic displacement, and we're going to create a new texture, and we'll just go asteroid displace, and then we'll just create a new texture. We're just going to go to clouds, and there we go. And since it's going to be kind of an asteroid that he's landed on, let's just have it be a little bit more wide. Give it a little shade smooth, give it a subdivide. There we go. For the character, I'm going to use a plugin called HumanGen. A great plugin. I highly recommend it. I'll drop a link down below if you want to check it out. Not affiliated or sponsored by them at all, but it's just a plugin that I absolutely recommend, especially if you're looking for high quality characters with rigs and all that. This is the one. Okay, so this guy's gonna be pretty big. He works out. I'm not too sure just yet what the focal length of the camera is going to be. I will have to play around with that. But I want him to be even bigger. Again, we're going for some Galactus-sized scale. This is just the blocking out phase, so it's not about being too polished, not being too focused on the final results just yet. It's like building blocks, baby. Just building step by step, because it's easy to get overwhelmed when you have a vision in mind and it's like, okay, 0 to 100 right away, let's get there. It's like, nah, you gotta go 0, 1, 2, 3, you know. It took me a long time to learn that, and I think that's such an important element with any kind of art, is like, be patient with the process. Okay, so here we are with him again. Let's make him just a tiny bit smaller. Move him over here. So that's looking decent. I said he was probably going to be looking at whatever the object is. And I'll probably play around with having him look at the small character too, the foreground character. We might just play around with it just to see what that could potentially look like. Okay, so we have this character in. Now let me just get another character just to have a temp character for the foreground. Alright, so Human Generator has created another human. This one's name is Kevin. So he's going to be much smaller, and he's going to be in the foreground here. So now let's get him looking over at big boy Lauren over there. And when it comes to lighting, we'll figure things out as we go. But I do like the idea of the foreground being more like a silhouette. So we're not going to see too much detail on our foreground character. It's more so just going to be the silhouette of the asteroid, him and his ship. Most of the detail is going to be on the celestial being. He's more of the focal point of the piece, so I want to make sure to highlight him a lot more than what's happening in the foreground, just to not distract from where I really want the viewer to be looking. And now just get a temporary piece of geometry to symbolize his ship. I'm just going to get a cube, and we'll just make it maybe like a bit stretched to there. I have a model of a ship that I will import when the time is right. We'll just do something like this. I've been playing a lot of No Man's Sky, so I'm really also just itching to make something spacey with spacecraft, man. Like, oh, yeah. I really want to play around with some more sci-fi stuff. It's been a while. I think it might be worth playing with the focal length of the camera just to discover the scale. Finding scale through the camera lens, especially with right now, like if you look at the asteroid here, it's like we're seeing a lot of depth in it, which isn't exactly what I'm wanting. So I think having a bit of a wider focal length, I think that's going to help kind of achieve this kind of cosmic scale that we're looking for. Still trying to figure out things with the big character. He's quite big, but I kind of like this. This is looking like a pretty good angle for him here. And let's just play around with this pose a bit, I guess, since we're here. Actually, let's give my guy Kevin here just a bit more of a placeholder pose. Okay, so that's looking a lot better. I'd consider bringing him maybe more piece, so he's less by the edge here, just to give him a little bit of breathing room. And maybe just to test it out, let's see what it looks like if I mirror him. Because maybe that's a direction to take the piece. Before he was kind of ambivalent, like he didn't really care too much about the foreground character, but maybe we have them actually interacting a bit more. Maybe our big spacey boy here, maybe he is presenting the character with an object. So maybe it's not a planet, maybe it's some sort of object that he's presenting him, showing him. That's something to play around with. If that's the case, in the sketch, I have the asteroids coming from like the top left corner going to the bottom right. But maybe it's different. Maybe we switch it around. And I think similar to having the block out phase, it's like with the concept sketches, that's just a base, right? Like what I have here now was informed by those initial sketches, but I don't have to be so rigid as to having to need the final result to be exact. Sure, if you have like a client or something and you have a specific design brief that you have to meet, yeah, you got to be a bit more rigid with it, but not necessarily rigid, but just more to the brief. But since this is just having fun and creating, I can be flexible. I think that's an important element with your art, is just giving some flexibility, you know? It doesn't have to be exact all the time. I think this is a good start. Keep playing around with the composition a bit. Maybe move this guy over just to be a bit less close to the center frame. His spaceship can also be slightly off camera, I think, too, even. I'm going to take a bit of an extended break. Might be done for the day, might come back to it a bit later. Not too sure. But I'll check in with y'all in just a little bit. For you, it'll be just a little bit. For me, might be later tonight, might be tomorrow. But anyways, big love. What's good, people? Yo. Okay. Day 2. I ended up taking a pretty decent break after yesterday's session. Yeah, just letting things absorb. But it felt good, actually. Earlier today, maybe I'll drop the screen recording I got of my earlier session with the piece. But I just went through and sort of played around with the posture of the celestial being, just the composition a little bit. Didn't necessarily fully like where it was at. I also played around with having it be like a straight on kind of shot, like the celestial being was in the center, he was facing the guy, facing like the camera, straight on, and I was just experimenting a little bit, but in the end I wasn't really feeling it. Plus I kind of wanted the celestial character to feel just kind of a little bit more badass, you know? Yeah, this pose that I got here going, I'm digging it. In this session, I have the basic blocking out, but I think what I'd like to try and do is just get some of the basic lighting going, just to start to find a bit more of the aesthetic of the piece. It's like 11 p.m. here, so it's kind of like I want to start crafting the night, the spacey aesthetic of the piece. So if I go into it right now, if we go into the rendered view, it's boring as heck, bro. So I'm just gonna grab, all we have is 1 point light, but I think obviously since it's gonna be space, it's gotta be black, it's gotta be dark, the endless void staring you right in the face. So what I was thinking with having the celestial character's hand here, and he's kind of like on his finger, I kind of like the idea of, because originally I was thinking that maybe he's holding some form of light, like a planet, a shape, or something. But I kind of like this idea that there's, maybe a star or something at the tip of his finger. I think that's just, it's an interesting idea to me. Let's just play around and see what I can figure out for some basic lighting. Maybe actually the first kind of thing, because I really want this to feel atmospheric. I think maybe the best thing that I could add right now is some volumetric fog. So I'm gonna duplicate that and duplicate the shader as well. And then into the density, I'm going to add a noise texture just to give some variation, so it's not all super solid. Some areas will have more fog, some will have less. Let's switch the texture coordinates to object. We can change the scale up a little bit. Maybe I want for it to be pretty big. And we'll turn up the detail. I don't know, what does distortion look like? Maybe a little bit of distortion, not too much. But that's cool, I dig this. One thing that I do really see happening to create some separation between the foreground element, so the spaceship, the foreground character, and the asteroid landing, whatever he ends up standing on, is some sort of glow, like a light between the foreground and our character, the celestial character. Just to show that there's distance between the two, because I want him to feel big and I want him to feel in the distance. So what I'm just going to quickly test out, I like to use planes with just an emission texture. My setup is typically I do a mix shader, and in the top socket I do a transparent shader, and under that I do an emission, and then in the factor I just use whatever it is that I want, the emission, I guess, to be whatever kind of texture I want to be glowing through the emission. So I'm going to use a math node set to power first, just to get my gradient more smooth. And then I'll add a gradient texture. I'll do Control T to get a mapping and texture coordinates node set up. And of course you have to have the node wrangler set up for that shortcut. Alright, so I'm just going to rotate that on the Y, fix the scale, there we go. I'm just going to go into the settings here, because as you can see, it's pretty kind of noisy, the texture with the transparency. So I just changed the render method from dithered to blended, and now you see it's just nice and blended. Cool. So, and then I like to use the power node, because then you can just make that such a smooth transition for the gradient. But I think, maybe you can see where I'm kind of going with this. Let's get some stars in there. For that, there's many ways you can go about doing stars. Kind of my preferred method for some like this, where it's not an animation or anything. I like to just use a plane, and then in the shader tab, I'll just call this stars. And then similar to the other one, the glowing light, I will do a mix shader. I'll do on the top socket a transparent, and then on the bottom I'll do an emission. And then for this one though, we'll use a Voronoi texture. And then I'll add in a color ramp in between the texture and the mix shader. And then I'm gonna flip the color ramp. And then again, Control T if you got the node wrangler set up. Let me just turn on the screencast. There we go. Cool. So now, what we do is we just bring up the black value. So we get this kind of thing. Also, let's also switch this to blended in the render settings of this material. But obviously, that's not going to be nearly enough stars, but let's just kind of get it into position. Scale it up a bunch. That's not nearly enough stars. You can't see them at all. What gives? So let's just bring up the scale of the Voronoi texture. So now it's much better. We can even bring this just to make them less soft. Maybe we can just do that. Play around a little bit with the values of the color ramp to get your desired results. Cool. Now it's pretty. So there we go. We'll just bring up the emission strength as well. I kind of want to see maybe more stars, and then or making the small stars smaller, and then just bringing up the black value a bit more. So it looks like there's just a whole sea of them. Beautiful. Yes, this is looking good. I'm stoked. I think I'm just gonna keep playing around with it for a little bit before I take a break for the night. So we'll just hop into a little time lapse, and I'll check in with you guys probably tomorrow. Here we are, back in the sanctum sanctorum that is Blender. Let's have some fun. So, there's still quite a bit left to do with the piece. We'll see what I do on camera, what I do off camera. But for now, what I'm going to do is, we're going to go with the spaceship. We're going to get that in to the foreground. So I modeled this spaceship quite a while ago. And I haven't used it in literally anything, but I really liked it. So let me just isolate it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. It was fun to model this one. So let's just hop into camera view, shrink this puppy way down. And I have it over here. So let's see if it fits in this area. Can finally get rid of that cube. Now the scale is kind of depending on how big he is compared to the ship. I'd say that's probably about good there. The main thing is just finding an angle that feels about right. I think it would make sense that it's kind of landed. So we can just go with something like this. The next thing that's been on my mind is to play around with the planets. So I think to also combat all the orbs, part of me would like to take out this moon here. This moon or whatever it was going to be. And then just keep it to the big one here. And then this one. And then I kind of want to see what it's like if I bring this down a bit. So we can have sort of a line. Actually, now that I think about it, having a planet down here won't really work because I want to have the asteroids. So let's keep it up for now. But I like the idea of removing the one that was here. It is cool, don't get me wrong. And maybe I will add it in. We'll see how it goes. But I think to maybe help understand where I want to take it, I think it's a good idea to bring in some asteroids. I did go in earlier and I created a geometry node setup for an asteroid belt. So I just have a curve here, as you can see, that has a bunch of particles generating around it. So I can adjust the curve however I want, and it'll be the basis for our little asteroid belt. The geonode setup itself is rather simple, such as I am with geometry nodes. All we got here is the curve itself. We're resampling it. So now it has 30 points, so there'll be, I believe, 30 asteroids on it. And then on those points, we are instancing asteroids from a collection that are just a few different asteroid models that I made with a pretty simple texture. And then, so it's picking different instances. For every instance on the curve, it's picking a different asteroid model, a different particle. So we have it randomized, so as you'll see, I can just randomize that baby. And then for the rotation, we have a random rotation, so we can randomize the rotations. And then same for the scale. And then also the positioning can be randomized. So a rather simple setup. Now let's just bring it into the position that I want. I'm just going to mirror it on the X. Nope. I'm going to mirror it on the Y. There we go. We'll bring it over here. And I do want it on the... I don't want it in front of the haze, but I'll probably add a few in front of the orange haze. And now let's just duplicate this one, and we'll bring it in front of this haze line, this glow line. And we're just gonna do another randomized version. I'll probably make it a bit less. We'll have less particles. And it's just to create a sense of depth. maybe we'll make them a little bit bigger. Not too much. Because again, then we're still fighting for clarity in shapes. But I can also play around with the lighting on the celestial character to really make him pop. So we'll just play around until we find one that we like. So I think before I jump into a time lapse, as I just keep working on the piece and trying to get it close to completion, one thing I did want to show is the texturing of the planets. Because I hit up a good homie, Joey Harrell, who goes by the name of Brosif. If you don't know him, he's a great sci-fi artist and just a great dude. Very inspiring artist. He used to be in the band Substructure. If you're into like spacey gent in Prague, you know who I'm talking about. But yeah, he's just a killer artist, and he's currently working on a procedural planet shader for Blender. It's gonna have a whole UI and everything, so he's got that in the works, and he's let me test it out. So I want to use it for this piece. So for these two planets here, I'm just gonna append the texture shader, and we'll play around with it. All right. So I've got the texture here on the bigger planet, and jeez, dude, he is crushing it on this shader. This plugin's gonna be dope. So, and he's also setting it up for, it's more set up for cycles right now in Blender, but it does work in Eevee currently. But there's some extra settings that he has in cycles that look primo, my friends. But I'm a Blender. I'm an Eevee head, so I'm gonna use Eevee. So it's a little bit of a different version, but it still looks so killer. I'm telling you. So I'm just gonna get some lighting in on this planet here. Alright, sweet. That's looking sick. Yeah, like his texture has so much detail, dude. And it's all procedural. Okay, so if I come to the texture here itself, I can change up the color a bit. Maybe just play around and see. So I believe this color is gonna affect the darker spots. So if I want to make this just overall a darker color, I can do that. But if I want to change the color of kind of like the terrain, so maybe see what like a green sort of verdant landscape could look like. Maybe it's like a darker green, like, you know, lots of boreal forests or something. Thing is, I do want it to make sure that it fits with the piece in terms of the color scheme. So let's just maybe play around and see what kind of color feels like it fits. I don't want to go too much blue. I kind of liked the idea of like a dark green. I think that feels good to me. Okay, sweet. So this is definitely developing nicely, I think. With the added spaceship, with the texturing on the planets, with the asteroids, whatever I decide to do above Homeboy's finger, this piece is really shaping up, and I'm really stoked on it. I'm gonna just keep working on the piece. If there's anything that comes to mind while I work on it that I want to share, I'll hop in. But for now, I'm just gonna hop into a nice, smooth time lapse, and I will check in with y'all a bit later. Welcome back, homies. I hope you dig the piece. Let me know what you think down below, what this brings up in you. This one has a special place. It has a story for me in it. But I want to hear what it brings up for you. Yeah, this was a cool one. This was a long one. This was a journey, that's for sure. But yeah, like where we left off before I left you guys with a time lapse, the piece was looking quite a bit different. So yeah, I just kept working on it, took it into Photoshop. Since I'm still getting used to Affinity, there's just things in Photoshop I'm just more accustomed to doing. So yeah, I took it in there after doing a lot of extra stuff in Blender. So as you'll notice, one of the key things that I did remove was the spaceship.
Ooh, dude.
Yeah, well, you know,
I was waiting for that.
I really wanted the spaceship in there, but it was just feeling kind of clunky over on the left side of the piece. Like, it was feeling a lot of busyness on the right side with all the asteroids and then the clunkiness of the spaceship. So I was just like, let's try taking it out. And I like the spaciousness that it gives the foreground character, and then it just lets you have him there and then everything massive, big, cosmic on the rest of the piece. So in the end, I think that was the right move. I also chose to take the planet that was on the right side of the piece behind the back of the celestial character. I chose to move that over just to, again, kind of remove a little bit of the busyness that we see with all the asteroids, and I think that worked out really well too. And yeah, the celestial character, originally I was gonna like give him more of like a actual celestial kind of look, like make his skin like translucent or whatever kind of cosmic-y kind of thing you could think of. But I've been really on an Afrofuturism kick. It's something that has been just on my mind and on my heart for months now, and something for me exploring my own roots, having my grandparents be from Barbados. It's just like, yeah, Afrofuturism really speaks to a part of me that I didn't really get to explore growing up here in Canada. So yeah, anyways, I've been diving into it, and it feels good to use my art as a vehicle for exploring that. So yeah, the celestial being kind of took on this sort of Afrofuturism, this ancient ancestor kind of feel for me. So I was just really enjoying that. So I really went into it. I made him look more at the character in the foreground a bit more, gave him some tattoos. Yeah, I just really like how he turned out. And then, yeah, even with the object in the center, like the one hovering above his fingers, it's like there was a lot of orange in the piece originally. So I kind of wanted to bring in some extra colors. So it was nice to go in, change the color of something, and that central object was it. So yeah, still have an orb there, but gave it some like cool geometry. We got the braille. I won't tell you what it says. If you know braille and want to interpret what it says, drop below if you can figure it out. I'd love to see. And then also, again, we got the boy Joey, who hooked me up with the planet shader. I can't recommend him enough. Go check out his work, Brosif. Links will be down below for his great, cool, dope-ass space art. Like, man, dude is killing it, and I can't wait for him to release this plugin so you can all check it out. And then also, of course, within the piece, I used some of the assets from the Visionary Artifacts asset pack that I made with a friend that is released over on Visual Emporium. I will drop the link down below for that too if you want to grab the asset pack, and if you want to go on their website, if you get some stuff, use the code Entruvia for 15% off of your order. Yeah, have some fun making art. Truly, that's what this is all about. And again, thank you for joining me If this video brought you some value, give it a like. Hit me with the subscribe if you want to follow for more. Definitely more coming. And again, drop some comments down below with any feedback you might have for the videos, how you think I can improve. Let me know if there's any ideas or concepts you'd love for me to try out. I'm always down. If you give me a concept that will push me out of my comfort zone. I will leave you with that, my friends. Enjoy the rest of your day or night, wherever you're at. I hope you are well. I hope you stay nourished. I hope you got good community around you. That is so important. And I hope you make some art. Just have fun. Make art. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.